Alright, this recipe is actually one of the first recipes I learnt during my apprenticeship. Everyone's calling it bone broth these days. It's really just a stock, okay? I don't really care what you call it. It is good for you. It is tasty, and it's a basis for so many different dishes.
Now hold on, it is actually a little different to a stock because you're using a certain type of...
No, I mean, bone broths can be whatever bone you want it to be. Do you know what I mean? So I'm using oxtail because I'm going to turn it into a dish later on for another recipe. And I love oxtail, and we got heaps at the cafe the other day. So let's get making this epic hipster bone broth. Why oxtail?
Yeah.
Oxtail is awesome. Oxtail is sort of a long cut, sort of a bony meat down the spine, and it's got bone marrow for the centre. When you slow cook it, the meat becomes sort of beautiful and soft and sort of falls off the bone, and it just has a really nice sort of, a really strong beefy flavour. So it's perfect for stocks or bone broths like this. I'm going to flake it off and actually use it in a pho in another recipe. So make sure you check that out. Is it pho or is it pho? Pho?
Pho.
I don't know, I've got a horrible accent.
Okay, alright.
Let's go. So this is a really easy recipe. All it comes down is time and flavour. So what you have to do is you need colour on the bones, colour on the onions. It's going to give a nice depth in flavour, and that's the first step. So we're going to toss it into a baking tray with some coconut oil, chuck it in the oven. Oven's on a high temperature. It's going to take about 10 minutes. While the bones are roasting, we're just going to get some celery straight into a pot. Just going to bash them, pop the skins off. Straight into the pot. Alright, so like I was saying before, you want to add flavour into it. So roasting the bones adds a heaps of flavour. I've chosen a few aromats like some thyme, some ginger, I've got some chilli in there, I've got some cinnamon, some star anise, some bay leaf, some cloves. So this is going to add so much flavour to this broth. Okay, it's a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and what that is going to help do is it's going to help the collagen or the tough bits in the meat turn to gelatin while it slow cooks. It's also going to give it a really nice flavour. So the bones have been there for about 10 minutes. I can smell them. Yeah, the colour on the meat, colour on the onions. It's going to give it a really nice depth in flavour. What we're also going to do is, if you're paleo and you're into that sort of stuff, you know, don't throw away this fat. You can just sort of drip it off into here and whack it in the fridge. It'll solidify, and you can use it to cook with and what else. But you don't want that fat in your stock or your bone broth, because that's going to make it oily and you're going to be skimming it the whole time. It's going to make your job a little bit harder. Straight in the stock pot, and you fill it with water. And what is going to happen as this comes up to the heat, it's going to draw out all that flavour, all that nutrients from the bones and the veg. And then you're going to let it sit there and just tick over slowly for a long period of time. So I'm talking between 4 to 8 hours, so the longer the better. You'll know when it's ready, when the meat's falling off the bone. So
just keep on testing that.
Just keep testing it.
Do you have to replenish water, or do you let it cook down?
If you're running out of water and the bones are starting to show, just add a little bit more in there.
Keep them covered? Just
keep them covered, yeah. Every half an hour, 2 hours, just skim a layer of fat off the top, because what will happen if you don't do that, the fat is going to basically cook back into the stock, and you get a cloudy stock or a cloudy bone broth, and you don't really want that. You want it nice and clear and refreshing and beautiful.
That's been on there for quite a while, bro.
Yes, so that's what it's meant to look like. So we swapped it out with stuff I had ready to go. So now we'll strain some off, have a taste, and I'll show you what we're talking about. So this is what you're after. So it's just literally just falling off the bone. How awesome is that?
Okay.
So I'm just going to take all these epic slow cooked oxtail out. I'm going to pick the meat off it and put it into a separate container, and then strain the remainder of the broth off. Yeah, the bones have done their job. So the bones have let out all their flavour. So you don't really need them anymore.
So if that's all the meat out, what's the next step of the recipe?
Next step is to strain the liquid out. Alright, so whether it's a bone broth to you or a beef stock, I don't really care. All I know is this tastes epic. It's a basis to so many good things. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.